With Yuno comes a green AoE attacker, LANGRIS, and this unit, he's something special. Purely because this man, I'm pretty sure, might be the quickest unit to get like his ultimate. Because he's actually cracked when it comes to getting the consistency of his ultimate back super quick. Especially now with Charlotte being a thing too, because she can give like +3. So anyway, so with LANGRIS, obviously he is going to be a pickup banner. So with the character himself, we'll go through the kit. Skill 1, 50% chance to grant a SP +1, that's for him. Skill 2, sacrifices 2 of a designated ally's SP to grant himself SP +2. So basically, out of the other 3 characters on your team, you can basically steal 2 of their SP and give it to LANGRIS, so that way he can get his ultimate a lot more quicker. So again, you guys are already starting to see the quickness of him building up his ultimate. With that, he has a 45% chance to inflict a 20% reduced healing received to a designated ally, and then grants self an increased speed level 3 for 2 turns. So this is huge. The increased speed is huge to have with the man trying to get his ultimate. Now, obviously, when it comes to the chance to inflict reduced healing received is by -8. So yeah, I mean, well then again, yeah, no, this is clearly going to be beneficial in order to reduce this, because I mean it's not exactly what you want. So I mean if you're not too bothered, and if your team isn't really healing as much, then from a PvP perspective I don't think you'll really care. But for a PvE perspective, this might be hindering you a little bit. I'm just saying. I mean, so actually putting time into skill 2 might be necessary. I will say I have actually worked on my skill 2 just to kind of get some of these -8s out of the way to yeah, kind of reduce that. But anyway, moving along. I know it's a bit of a weird one, but there you go. And then the ultimate itself, it is AoE. By the way, is the second skill AoE? No, sorry, the second skill is stealing. Yeah, so it's a buff/debuff. Anyway, so this ultimate, it is AoE. So there's a lot that is going on, and this is why the ultimate is kind of cracked out with how quick he can get his ultimate. So his ultimate on all enemies inflicts block HP recovery for 2 turns, grants all allies 20% increased favored damage dealt, that's on for 2 turns, inflicts reduced HP recovery level 3, that's on for 2 turns, and then it grants debuff immunity specifically for himself for 2 turns. So there is a lot going on when it comes to blocking the healing, allowing us to do that 20% extra more damage if we have typing advantage, which is very nice. And then on top of that, he does get a little bit of a debuff immunity protection there. So yeah, the ultimate itself is pretty stacked up. And so when it comes to duping it out, of course, as you guys can see, it's just working in allowing you to do more damage in that type of department. And then the combination skill, Dispelling Barrier. It is single target, which was AoE, it's fine, but you are dispelling barrier if there is any barrier plays going on. And then when it comes to the passives himself, he does have the immortality play once you get him to LR, so that's beautiful. Now if you do manage to get him to LR +2, at the start of a turn, grants a SP +2 buff. So this is where things are starting to tie in with the second skill, with the passive. And keep in mind, even though Global doesn't have Charlotte, which is in my opinion one of the big units to give SP out, you know, you do have other characters that can also provide you with SP, especially with healers, right? So there are ways to go about, you know, supporting LANGRIS in that department, in applying more SP onto him. So yeah, there's ways around it, but his kit himself is pretty self-sufficient when it comes to gaining a ton of SP himself. Now I'll do the enhanced version. So if you do manage to get his Greymoor, the only thing that changes in his kit is that rather than getting 2 SP from a designated ally, you get 3 SP. So he gets an extra 1. So of course the ally loses out 3, LANGRIS will gain the 3. Alright, so that's pretty much how that works when it comes to improving the second skill. When it comes to the additional dupe, so once you get him to LR +4, he does get a speed +3, which is very nice. And then if you do max him out, obviously you do keep that at the start of the turn, get 2 SP. But he also then makes it so that when doing the ultimate, he grants himself recovery effect, which is equal to 100% of his max HP. So that is pretty nice, but more importantly, that +3 speed. So technically speaking, realistically, you can get LANGRIS if you want to 109 speed as an attacker. But yeah, recently we just got this costume for him. So this is of course the LR costume that you get. And then I'm not too sure again how Clover will go about introducing this costume, unless they just make it so that it's accessible first thing. So yeah, there you go. There's LANGRIS looking absolutely... Bro, that hair is magnificent. God damn. When it comes to building LANGRIS, obviously attack and speed is something that I like to do. Now, for my PvP, this is the kit that I typically run. Because, of course, if you see my substats, I have worked on the crit rate and crit damage. I do want to make him that AoE attacker to do a good amount of damage. So, obviously, with the accessories, it's more in line of defense and then crit rate, of course. And then substats is benefiting from the crit damage. And then with the gear sets themselves, attack, speed, and crit rate. Now, if I'm on PvE, I will take off the speed, since I'm already feeding speed from the second skill, and I can actually also provide speed on the team itself, being a green mono team if I choose to. I will then put on the crit damage to maximize my AoE damage that LANGRIS can produce. But yeah, I'm just super on the offense, and yeah, I managed to get some good little substat rolls. So yeah, attack, crit rate, crit damage. I did put pen on him, but yeah, the consistency of the crits were there for me when it comes to my LANGRIS, so I just opted out with that. So, but you can opt out for pen if you want to, but if you're lucky with the rolls and if you're lucky with RNG, then you can maximize your crit rate and crit damage. So yeah, with the skills, I mean, there's not really much going on unless you, I mean, to be honest, you just want to work on the ultimate to do a little bit more, to do some more damage. Again, the second skill I did work on it a little bit just to reduce the percentage, of course. So yeah, it's only 3. I mean, I'm 1 off, but I'm not going to waste it, so there's that. But anyway, that, I mean, yeah, as long as you get the ultimate going on, and if you do want to reduce the debuff on your ally, then that's something that you can work on. But yeah, and again, I don't have his Greymore, so I can't use that, so I just went with an all attack, but we'll get into that in just a second. So when it comes to the talent slot, I would say for most, magic attack and battle frenzy might be key. If you're lucky with your rolls, like how I've built my LANGRIS, then I would say increase crit damage to sharp mind. If the percentages are there for crit rate, I'm just going to say that right now. But I think for most, you might want to opt out with battle frenzy and increase magic attack. It just really depends on the gear sets and substats that you've managed to roll for. When it comes to the defense, yeah, just keeping it straightforward. I mean, there's nothing else that is really going to benefit from. There's no no, for 1 turn of hit. No, okay. Wait, could that work? Technically speaking, this might be nice if you want to add this in, because you've got to keep in mind he does have that 30% immunity. So it grants debuff immunity for 1 turn if HP is equal to or lower than 35%. Keep in mind he does have the passive where he does live with immortality at 30%. So, but I just typically go with the increased defense and endurance. But I would say, I mean, if you want that debuff, I mean, well, then again, he does get debuff immunity from his ultimate, so there's that. But yeah, endurance and increased defense. I mean, if this ain't built for him, I don't know what is. Alright, get that swiftness on, boys. Get that. You give him anything to everything to support him getting his ultimate. So clearly, swiftness is going to be the one set for him, and then if you just throw in increased damage resistance, so you can provide him some little bit of tankiness, unless you want to put HP recovery. Actually, this would, I mean, unless you get him to LR +5, but then again, if you do choose to run a Mimosa, because again, that's mono green, then I mean, you could resort to using swiftness and yeah, get the HP recovery received by +5%. That's also an option. Can't go wrong with that. There you go. So with LANGRIS, when it comes to his Greymore, we know what happens with his second skill. He gets the +3. But with the passive for the Greymore, upon attacking an enemy afflicted with HP recovery immunity, attacks after granting 20%, and if you get dupes on it, you can go up to 40% increased favored damage dealt buff. Does not activate when the partnered mage performs a combined attack, so that's unfortunate. But still, so yeah, starts at 20%, so not too bad. I mean, again, it's a nice little neat Greymore, sorry, for LANGRIS to do more damage, and more importantly, it's allowing him to get his ultimate even way more quicker, which is absolutely beautiful. Of course, when it comes to the alternatives, again, with myself, I do at times put Lich. If I need to, you know, go down that crit route, then obviously, you know, I've got crit. I've got the crit rate buff from LANGRIS a lot. Not LANGRIS. Jesus Christ. Lich with damage. So that's nice. Or I can go with, you know, I do have dupes on Lich's Greymore, which is pretty nice. Again, I do, as you just saw, I do resort to going down that 20% route. Can't go wrong with that all base 20% buff, right? So it's going to be your standard attacking Greymoors for Langris, of course. Again, he's providing damage on an AoE status, so you know, if you can provide it. I mean, you've also got this. I mean, this actually would not be too bad. Attacks after applying a 20% increased damage to yourself upon using his ultimate. His ultimate is going to be the attack that is going to be popping off a lot more often than others. So, out of obviously Gorsh, and Lark, just stick with I mean, this is also a very, very nice option to have with how well it works with the ultimate itself. But again, you got the Fauna, Greymore that you can resort to, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's HP orientated when it comes to these boys with the Fagolia and the Leo. Yeah. So I mean, if you want to resort to that, then you can do so. I really personally would recommend it. Honestly, the Universal Breath of Darkness, that would be fine. If you, I mean, again, if you've done decently well in the crit department, then you can resort to with getting that extra 10% crit damage, or if you want to bump up the crit rate even more with a little bit of additional damage, you go down that Lich route, of course. And then in general, once again, you've got that that Fana for the all attack, just like the Breath of Darkness. So options to play around, boys. Options to play around. I mean, Sea Serpent Pride, could that work? I mean, it kind of could work. That way you could just keep on focusing on crit damage if you want to go down that substats roll, which I could have done. So this is just kind of helping out that a little bit more. So yeah,